Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Coney or Art Sherpa, and today I would love to show you how you can paint this adorable vintage deer all holly jollied up yourself step by step. On the mic is my husband John.
Hey guys.
He's going to track me with a bunch of cameras, hopefully make sure our stream is good, and make sure that you have all the information you need so you can create this for yourself. A lot of people come to these live shows and paint along, but of course you can come back on the replay and paint when, it's on replay with the pause, rewind, back up, fast forward features. I hope everybody's doing really well today. We've had some interesting connectivity issues, so we're hoping that those get in. This is what we're going to be working on. I'm going to tape it up where I can see it.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about the materials that we're using today. It's real easy materials. I think this is a real simple color palette. I have some washi tape. Washi tape. It's the pretty low tack tape. I don't think that they market themselves as that, but for me, that's what they are. Now, I made for you guys, because I know that everybody doesn't draw, a traceable so that you can get the image on the canvas easily. Painting and drawing are related practices, but they're not necessarily absolutely connected. And no, it's not cheating to trace it on. Now, I have a 9x12 board here. This is from the Artist Love collection. It comes in a little pack of 5. I put a little black paint on it. I'm going to do a second coat, but I wanted to get some wishes in. The first wish, and this is a big one because we're coming into the holidays, is that anyone living with anxiety or depression, that you have a lot of compassion and support, and all the support you need to make it through the extra stress that is a holiday season. We have a wish that Patty's friend, that their little brush is okay. It's their first baby, and it's coming early, and we want them to be okay. There's a beautiful wish that Ruth is in peace and doing okay as she's going through her transition, and just tons of support for the healing that they need. Based on the chat before the live, which obviously went on for much longer than we would have liked, but coming out of that was a lot of people talking about their journey with cancer. So our wish here is that there's just no more cancer for anyone, period, ever in the history of ever, because cancer sucks and we don't like it. And then also personal, as you know, for me is the less expensive EpiPen. Love to see the cost of EpiPens become really accessible so that anybody needs one. And then Lisa is wishing that her son finds a job in his field of study, which I think is something we all wish for ourselves and the people in our lives. You guys ready to paint in a layer? And John, how's the connectivity?
Very good.
All right, dude, because YouTube is like, no, 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 and then it's good. So what I have here is a number 26 short-handled braid. I'm going to load this up. If you were doing a long handle, it'll probably be closer to a size 12 braid. I'm starting to actually learn about how most of the companies, even though there's no standard sizing, will work their little sizing out. I like 2 coats of black for an image like this, maybe even up to 3, because you want a deep matte finish, right? Now you could do this gloss, and if you want to, you can just do that with varnish at the end when you unify. But remember, if you're having extreme temperatures, it is a terrible time of year to varnish. Don't do it. Don't varnish in big weather changes or rains or cold weather or extremely hot weather. Varnishing is one of those things that you want to do on a more pleasant day because it helps the product perform better. All right, so that's going to have its little dry. I'm going to rinse out this brush, because if we don't rinse out our brushes, what do they become? They become sticks. And sticks are awesome, but not as useful for painting.
They don't spread the paint quite as evenly.
No, there's some issues there. I'm going to, for the purposes of speed and the fact that it's a black canvas on a black background, which makes it visible, I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer. John's going to say hi to you guys for just a second, and then I'll show you how to get this image transferred on.
So, hey guys, and I will say, if you're drawing your canvas or surface or board or whatever you are painting upon at home, and you're using acrylic paint, don't use heat. Heat can cause discoloration, it can cause shrinkage, it can cause some problems, especially with student grade paints. Your pro paints, not so much, but just be cautious when using your hairdryer. So, yep. Oh, and thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Man, we got a full room. Nice to see all y'all
All
after
y'all, all
Thanksgiving.
y'all,
All y'all.
all y'all,
That's a southern thing.
all y'all.
All y'all.
Not some y'all, all y'all. It's never good in the South of here. It's good to see some of y'all. That's not good. We're friendly people, so just back away. Trying to get my transfer paper. So now this is in the description what I'm about to demo. This is a product called Serral Paper. They make transfer papers for quilting, for art, for a variety of creative processes. This particular one is for art. You want to always make sure that whenever you're using a transfer paper, it lists art as an acceptable use, because some of these have a wax or oil base, which would obviously not be great for your acrylic paint. If you don't have this, you can just use chalkboard chalk on the back of the tracing image. Just a fun tip of something that you could do if you wanted to do something like that. I'm going to just tape this down as tightly as possible, because wrinkles and pops are not our friend when we're transferring images. So I'm just taping this down. And I just do this so it doesn't shift and move during the transfer process. A little bit of preparation definitely saves a lot of headache and fixing later. That said, it's not quite as exacting as, say, woodworking, where they're like, measure twice and cut once. What they really mean is measure 25 times. Math is hard. So I'm just putting the image. You just place it where you want it on. And what happens is this side of the paper is slightly dim, and then the other side of the paper, if I can show it here, see, it's bright yellow. How bright yellow that is. In this particular case, you would want the bright version of the transfer paper down and the duller version where you're going to be drawing over it. And as you can see, I've done images with this before, and that's because you can do more than one image. You can use these sheet of paper that you cut off the roll many, many, many times. And I really like the white and the black in this line. I'm not as big of a fan of the red or the blue. Oh, that's such a cute choice. Well, I'm going to sip my coffee. How you guys doing?
Good.
I have
Everyone's doing really,
big
really
hair
good.
today.
What's that?
I have big hair today.
You do? Well, you have beautiful
The
hair.
80s came and landed on my head. I don't even know. I'm just enjoying my coffee and missing my stuff. How's everybody doing? Do we have any questions before I trace on?
Let me see here. I'll go out and look. There's been lots of general questions. Lots of people have been wishing you happy Thanksgiving from Canada.
Thank you guys, because I know you guys celebrate on a whole different day.
They have a different. They have a
Actually,
different.
it's a whole different holiday. I think we just share the name, but it is not the same holiday.
They give thanks to things.
They give thanks to things.
And we give thanks to things.
So that's sort of similar.
Yeah, we're not knocking each other off the table with elbows or anything.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how stressful. Is Thanksgiving a stressful dinner time in Canada? I don't know. It is in the United States.
I don't think it's hockey season, so it's probably going to be.
Oh, that's a contentious time of year. All right, so what I'm doing is
So we're going to plan football season right over Thanksgiving season.
Yeah, that's what we do. And so for those of you that are enjoying the art during football season, because you might lose some of your family members to football, I'm so happy to help you out, because John and I are like you. We're like sports and some stuff. Yay! We're not very good at knowing things about sports. You can see I just take this time to just trace over. And I can check to see how my lines are transferring, and I can see that, oh, they're transferring really well. So I will continue on. That's always good to check to see how your transfer is going. I'm super excited about doing this piece. There's some really cool techniques in it. Any more questions while I'm transferring? Because this is taking a while.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, there's some greetings from Australia.
Greetings from Australia.
Let's see here. There was someone who's just joined us back from 2015 wanting to know if I have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stuff still, and I do. I still sport my TMNT.
That's a weird question to ask. What's your Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle situation like?
You just didn't know if I still had my PJs that are TMNT, and I was like, well, yes, actually, I do.
You do. What's sad is he really does. That's a true thing.
And they have been augmented with Doctor Who and Star Wars.
Oh, yeah, we'll mix up a property, won't we? We'll be like, look, there's some Doctor Who, some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is some Star Trek. Deal with it.
Now you can if you didn't have the sterile paper, you could just coat the back of the paper with chalk,
Yeah,
right?
I would just rub the back of the transfer sheet with chalk. Is a good one, like the kind of chalk that you do on chalkboards. Is actually pretty helpful. I'm going to just sketch these in lightly because I'm sure I'm going to be adjusting these little shapes as I go. I like this. This is fun for me. I don't know how fun it is for you guys, but it's super fun for me. Anything I don't get in the transfer, I can just like later freehand in, so I don't worry about it that much. It's good to see this happen because sometimes I get asked, how do I get that image on the paper? I've never done that before.
How do you get that on there?
That's right. So sometimes I demo drawing things and sometimes I demo tracing things. Because they're both just skills in the art box, aren't they? And we don't need no more stress in our holiday season.
No. We have plenty of extra stress from cooking and cleaning.
True that.
And
True that.
children on vacation.
Oh. Yeah. We are definitely all, I'm sure.
And I have to remember to get Dad a present. What size socks does he wear?
You're getting your dad socks?
No, I'm just, you know, those are
I
panics.
don't think he wants any socks, John.
Well, I'm just.
So, I mean, I don't know what your dad does want, but I'm pretty sure it's not socks.
But you know, when you're at the store and you're panicking for like, well, what size socks does Dad wear? Or other garments of clothes, maybe not socks. But, you know, you're having those kind of panics, and that's not fun.
Oh, you're funny. I'm going to get a round brush, and I'm going to start this out. I have a number 4 round. This is in my Art Sherpa line. You could use any round that you have. I don't have an expectation that you have to have, like, my particular round. And I'm going to take a little of my black into my brown. Right? Maybe even a little of my gold. You don't have to mix that much. I'm just trying to darken this up and get it kind of aged and antiqued. There's some wonderful colors in vintage art that I really, really enjoy. And I'm going to just paint in my little antlers. Now, this particular transfer paper, I can clean up very easily with a damp brush and water. So if my lines get outside, I can get it right back to clean, which is nice. And I'm going to get what's called my underpainting. That is the crazy mess of the beginning of the painting all in. The base tones that you're using, and then when that's all in, I will clean up the background and then touch up anything I have to. And this strategy works really well and will also help you through things that maybe require similar skills in your own creative process this holiday season. So, you know, definitely hold on to this. I really like this image. And the use of mid-century modern design sensibility. Like that there's some space age stuff here. It's like a space age try-fi deer, John. It's just very cool.
I dig the deer, man.
I did too. I was very excited to find it in the public domain. I was like, woohoo!
Now you could they were asking could you paint this on your own cardstock and mail it for someone?
Yes. You could, actually. So what the public domain is this is art that has fallen either out of copyright by time or lack of registration. And there are several services that will let you search the public domain for images that you can use. Basically, copyright is 70 years after the death of an artist or the person that owns it. There are a couple things that can extend copyright. So you don't want to just assume if you don't have to. Normally, this piece probably wouldn't be available, you know, unless like I'm not great at math, you know, but I don't think the person died and it's been 70 years. I think probably they just really didn't keep the copyright up. Is probably what actually happened in my guesstimation. Now, interestingly enough, I am going to paint in the deer. I'm going to put this down for a second. I'm going to use some sort of scratchy brights. These are called a Cambridge. They're a mix of boar bristles and synthetic filaments, and I really like them for acrylic painting. I'm going to get this wet, I'm going to get a little bit of my black on here, but not too much. I may even wipe it off on my towel. And I'm going to go ahead and get a pretty bright color, but not a completely white color, because I might want to reserve that for a little highlight to get some of this texture. And I'm going to paint in a bunch of my little deer here. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to just, even right here at the edge, I'm going to do an interesting thing. To sort of capture this mid-century modern painting style, you notice I'm tapping the brush up and down and trying to make sure that those edges look a little bit soft like they do in the picture. And I'm going to do a couple things to make sure that that's sort of continued on throughout. Right? Because normally I really try to make my lines super crisp. But this time I'm not gonna. I know, craziness. So I'll just paint in the stuff and then maybe tap at the edges. You can see I'm just painting them in. And it's okay for me if I lose some of the lines because they're easy for me mentally to think of where they are. And just tap along that edge. See how I'm just making that edge kind of similar?
Yeah.
And its little softness. By just stippling up and down. This type of thing is called stippling. There's whole brush sets that are created for the stippling effect. Deerfoot stipplers being a funny one could have done for this painting because it's a deer. I knew that's kind of a dad joke, but still. Maybe that's a mom joke.
Could be.
Yeah. Now, I might, in this area, guys, like kind of use some brush strokes to help me think about where something begins or ends. Okay, and then come around here. And again, I'm just stippling. See, stippling, stippling, stippling. 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 Just around the deer. I'm not going to do this everywhere. I'm just going to do it some places to sort of get that vintage feel. Here. Hopefully I'll be able to capture my little nose again. And you can see, this is an underpainting, so it's not in its neat stage. It's not in its finished stage, right? It's going to look rough. And you can see the brush strokes very painterly at this stage. These are the bones that we build our painting on. How's everybody doing?
Oh, really good. I was just making sure that I updated the link in the description down below to our project page on the website, which has the traceable and all of the information that you would need to complete the project.
Yeah, we try to share as much of that as possible. The stippling, that's the brush vertical out, the brush handle's vertical out. I look, I'm just going in and out. And you can see it's getting some of that kind of characteristic pouncing look that's here. The other thing we can use is little bits of kitchen sponge to help us really nail that.
Bree says this has a distinctive deer face stippling look.
Yes. It really does, right? Deer foot stippling look. This deer was painted with the deer foot stippler.
Maybe she was saying it's a deer face stippler.
No. You're funny, aren't you? She's like, yes, I am, and my whole family loves it. A little spot right here. Make sure that I capture some of this right here on the upper little nose a bit, like you do. There we go. Just hate to not get it completely correct. Now, I'm going to, there's a lot of details here, but I'm going to just kind of go in with a little bit of my red toned a smidge. I'm going to take just a smidge of my black. And I mean, this has got to be careful, guys. You want just a smidge. You don't want a lot. Treat it like, you know, very powerful pepper. How would you handle your hot sauce?
I would not.
You would not. Well, we want the red to still be bright, but again, for that vintage look, it's an interesting thing what you're doing. You're going to play with a lot of stuff here to get the effect. And then, look, we're just stippling up and down. If you don't have a stiff brush, you can sometimes take a softer brush when I don't have a stiff brush and I've got to get a stiffer kind of feel to it, sometimes I'll hold my bristles actually into the bristles like this. Little strategy I've used in the past.
You increase the stippling rate?
Yes, to increase the stippling stiffness. And I'm just trying to do that here. Now, I'm not going to necessarily paint the whole thing with this. I just want, again, some of this effect. Some places, doesn't have to be all places, because we're using a different media. We're crafting this in a different way.
Now, are you going to use sponges on this at all, or is this all brushes today?
I'm going to use a little sponge.
You are going to use a little
I'm
sponge.
going to have a little bit here. I don't want to do the whole thing in sponge, but I've got some little cut sponges, and I may do some of that as well.
Okay, neat.
Places where I've got to have some really distinctive pattern stippling. You know, here I'm just getting some like, oh, these are some edges, and I want to make sure that they've got a little bit of that feel to them, but like later on, it's going to be like, it's going to be on. You got to have it just right.
Can you talk about using carbon paper for your tracing?
So you can. Sometimes the carbon can bleed up into the paint, and some of the carbons have a wax or an oil in them. And so you've really got to read the product and make sure that the product that you have is suitable for art.
So you can use anything, and just make sure you read the labels.
Yeah. You know what? In creative materials, what I would say is, yeah, in life, you can probably use a lot of things, but do make sure that you're using the correct thing. I'm going to get a smaller brush to give me a little bit of control over what I've got. In this particular case, I'm going to use, this is a number 2 bright. So this isn't a stiff bright, but I know I'm coming back with sponging. So I'll be able to get that sort of corrected out. And I'll use this to get in some of my more detailed bits.
There it is.
I'm just painting this in, the confines of this in. So again, at this stage, things can be quite messy.
Now, Jennifer was asking a really good question. And that is, why does the stippling look smooth from her position? And that's due to a handful of things, but mostly that cameras can only pick up so much detail. I can only zoom in so far. And so you can see some of the stippling action, but if you reduce the resolution, or if I zoom out, right?
It'll smooth out.
It starts to smooth out. Now, it's the same thing that happens when you step away from your canvas, right? Your eyes naturally start to not see the individual details, but see the whole picture. You're saying, Cinnamon?
Yes, I'm just letting them know that we're painting the red ornaments red, just the base of them, but not the little gold parts. We're starting to get into these little mid-century shape ornaments that are hanging down on Mr. Deer. Mr. Deer face. The jolly deer.
Yeah, if you are seeing everything look super smooth at home, you can check to see if you're watching at the at 1080p.
Yeah.
Because at the higher resolution, you'll be able to see a little more detail.
Give this a little more of a rounded thing. Rounding that out. Little vintage ornaments are fun to paint. Okay, and then we've got a couple green ones. And I feel like, we're going to take a little bit of this green into this yellow. And we'll go ahead and just paint that in. Lots of layers are coming, but it's going to give us a great start. I'm going to go around the little opening here. And watch this little trick. I'm going to get this all sort of with the lighter green. And I will put some of the lighter green on the right side of this ornament. Wipe off. I'm just going to get some of the phthalo green. It has a little bit of the yellow in it, which is why I don't rinse off. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting that in there. Maybe a little stripe here.
Kelly was asking about the name of the deer.
Yes. The jolly deer?
Well, this could be Dear John, or it could be John Deere.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it really could too. Could it not? Could it not? I'm going to get slightly a little bit grayer than I had in maybe the background of the deer, but still pretty light. This would still be a very, very toned white, shaded white. I'm going to come here and just make sure that I've some of that base in there. It's important to, have some of that. Now, if I dry this very carefully, I should be able to clean up all the crazy yellow marks pretty easily.
Just a button. Oh, so yeah, and when she says the crazy yellow marks, she's talking about like over. Let me see if I can. Oh, here, there you go. See these little yellow marks? Those are fingerprints and things from when she was handling this when it had the ceril paper over it. Because anytime you put pressure or anything on there, the ceril paper will transfer those little fingerprints. And the same thing where she's traced over there, you can still see the yellow line where she's traced over. So
I'm actually going to use, you could use any clean brush you have. In this particular case, I'm going to use the Ultimate Varnish brush. Great brush, very cool, love it for blending and a lot of stuff, but I wanted to see how it does for lifting this out.
It just erases.
Yeah, it should, but it's a very gentle brush, so it shouldn't impact anything else that I've got going on. And it'll get the light lines, but not take out the hard press lines as much, if that makes sense. The ones I want to keep, I can easily keep, and the ones that I'm not as interested in keeping, I won't. And then every once in a while, I'm going to rinse it out in the clean water. It's going to be really dependent that this be clean for this to work the way I'm hoping. We'll dry it and see if it does. Because if it worked, it should leave a nice background. And what you're going to see me do is dip in the clean water and really come through and clean the canvas. Now, I kind of want a little bit of this eye information, so I'm not going to erase it entirely. But up through here, I am going to erase more of what I've got going on. See how I'm cleaning that up?
Yeah. You need a cough here? I mute you. I've got it muted so she can cough for a second. You need a cough? I've got you muted.
And it's had children does not want to cough.
Oh, you just made everyone laugh and knocked the picture off the wall.
Did I? How did I make everyone laugh? Did I knock the picture off the wall?
What you said?
Oh, I thought I was muted.
I know you did.
Oh, you're a cheeky bugger. I'm going to dry this and make sure this is dry. Because I don't want my paint to bleed. And I'm going to die a little bit inside of embarrassment.
So, so yes, make sure that you're using your heat on the lowest setting so you don't cause any heat shift or anything like that. So, other than that, that's there we go.
Good times, good times.
Gotta make sure I push all the right buttons in the right order.
You push my buttons, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, we're married, so that's okay.
I'm going to grab a much smaller, scruffy little brush. This is a number 4 bright Cambridge, and I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my black into my yellow. All right, going to get that kind of going. And I'm going to shade out and start working my little antlers. The brown underneath is going to give us a nice result.
Yep.
And I'm going to be very soft. See, I'm going to kind of scribbling a little bit. Again, and you can always stipple too if you want to really capture that kind of feel. But what you want is it to feel dry brushed and rough. So
Yeah.
Can you guys see that effect, that technique?
Yeah. So it's I have to zoom in to catch them, and so, but yeah, you can definitely see how like the difference between the dry brushing and the stippling.
Right. And we want this to be nice. What's great is you don't have to have those crisp edges. You can have a softer edge on your lines here because of the stippling. So that's lovely. But I'm still keeping this, you know, boom, 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 keeping that black under control. I don't want to get crazy with it, right? I love changing the media something is created in and then painting it with acrylic and kind of mimicking the properties of that to get an effect. Let's get a little bit more yellow into our brush. And what that's going to do is it's going to lighten it, right, and brighten it. You want to make sure that it's 2-3 shades lighter. I'm just pulling it in. And now we're going to come right in the center and look. I'm going to tap up and down this highlight. Look at that.
That's really nice.
Let's put some right here. This one could have some nice one, huh? That sort of lets his little Hornikins take shape, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Play with that a little bit. Maybe put a light little edge here. There's definitely a strong light edge there. Maybe a little bit right here. A little bit here and there. And then let's put a bright highlight right here. That's pretty bright. Let's work that a little bit through. We want it to be right, but we don't want it to be so bright that it doesn't feel like part of it. And add a little brighter area here. And that's just me when I say that. I'm getting a little more of the pure paint and I'm just tapping it out. Let's put a little bit here. Can you guys see how the brush stamping is helping that little pastel looking effect? Let's look at that. Oh, we got those horns. Now, up at the top of all of our ornaments, we have sort of a similar deal. So I just rinsed out my brush because it's getting a little dry. I'm going to take a little bit of my black and my yellow together. And I'm going to come in and make the tops, pulling that down, of my ornaments. Okay. Just making the top. And then when I have those in, I'm going to get a little more of my just yellow. And tap the top of each one. You know what we're doing? Tapping a little highlight in there. Just a little bit of that highlight on the top of those little toppers. And I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to get just a little bit of shadow. I know this is some fussiness. So let's come here with just the black. And you want a very thin little sliver of shadow between the ornament if you've lost it. See that? If you can get it, go for it. If you can't, it's okay. Now, I'm going to take my red and I'm going to pull this bright pure red here. I'm going to definitely come down this side a little bit.
Now, Rebecca had a good question / idea about golding up the antlers, using gold on the antlers.
Oh, gold leaf?
I'm assuming she said, could you use gold on the antlers?
You could. You could use a really fantastic metallic gold paint and if you really wanted to play, what would really make this look wonderful and vintage is you could put a little bit of a gold leaf highlight on there.
Mm-hmm.
Would not be hard to do at all.
You know,
And would be a lot of
being
fun.
being that I'm a huge mid-century modern fan, I would not at all mind if you posted a picture of that up on the Art Sherpa official, so I could see it.
Oh, you mean like you want me to gold leaf this after?
Well, no, I mean like anybody in the
Oh,
community
I
who
was
does
like,
it.
I
No, no.
was like, I gotta go leave the painting for you. I mean, you like live here. I'm gonna add a little black to my.
No, I was saying if any of our community does it, I'd like to see it.
I'm adding a little bit of a darker value, and I'm gonna just make sure that I'm getting, I'm exaggerating these two variances here. See how we're doing?
I try not to
How's
volunteer.
that looking? When you get back, they
Yeah,
should look shaped.
that looks really nice.
Now, I'm going to get a little bit of this yellow and a smidge of scotcha top of my green. I'm going to go ahead and definitely at the top of this. See, I'm just doing this wonderfulness here. Maybe a little bit. And notice that I'm going to leave a little bit of that dark green line. Just to kind of imply some stuff here. Tap around, maybe even come around. Now, I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm going to get a little of my green. It's got the yellow in it. Having a little bit of a value. Some just green. See how I'm just playing with those two, getting that shape to happen? There's some just yellow. Look at that. And come over here. And I'm going to tap in just this highlight that I had here. And that's because I still had that yellow on my little brush. Get a little more green on there. But I didn't rinse out the yellow. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Didn't rinse out the yellow. So I've just kind of implied a little bit of a reflection there. What's fun about that is I can come back with all kinds of white lining and things into these ornaments really fast. And if you get a detail brush that you're confident in, any detail brush that you feel good about, I will get a number. This is a 3/0, but you could use a number 1. Got a variety of them here. Like here's the monogram liner. I'll pull both of these out. But either one, anything like this. And somewhere I put my fluid paint. There it is. So I've got the fluid white. You could use craft paint. You can also thin your white acrylic paint with water until it's this consistency. Basically, let's get right onto here and load this up. And let's make a little bow up here. Right, like that. There we go. What's wonderful is that because this was so done by hand, and that was so celebrated in the design, you can really, really see that. Now I'm going to come underneath here and make a little line. Go around here. And then we've got a little interior circle, which I'll put some yellow ochre in. And let's go 1, 2, 3. Make these little radial lines of the cut that we have. Add a little white there. I can also then, while this is all still here, get a little of the yellow and my fluid together, just the bright yellow. And I can come around the outside with this bright yellow. Put some on the inside. Maybe even, see how I did? Where I made a little bit of design on that little ornament. And then let's get some more little in there. So let's get a little white here. And we're gonna, this time, let's make the loop come down here. This little bow. That was fun. Little bow, little bow. Now, one of the tricks that I did here is you notice I didn't make it a solid line, so that implied that it went behind the branch. See where it stops here and it stops here? That's a little something if you're new to painting you might not think to do. You might carry your line all the way through. But if you can stop it, you can give the impression that the ornament is going behind the tree. How are we doing there? Oh, I'm liking these. This is a really fun piece, right? This one has a tie at the top. I say, why not? Ari's made some very good decisions. I'm going to go with them. Okay. I'm going to add the little white lining that I'm seeing here in this ornament. Oh, yes. Let's do some of these. Make a little pearl at the bottom. I just put that line up at the top because I felt like it. I'm going to go ahead and get this yellow. And I'm going to add some of that to it. Maybe a little bit right there. And then I'm going to change it up. Rather than necessarily gold color, I think I'm going to add the yellow dots here. See how those look. We can always come back and change them to ochre, but I think I'm going to like the yellow better. Just for contrast. Sometimes, you know, we forget to get the contrast. John loves to be like, contrast, contrast, contrast. And it's good. May not sound good the way I just described it, but it's good. All right, let's do the little bow at the top again. Right, little bow. Very. Now this one, it shows the two strings going down, but I'm going to continue like making that little perspective deal because I like it. I'm not trying to argue with the artist. I just have my own way through. I'm going to come back down here and make some little scallops. And let's put a little dot down here. Oh, that's so retro. And while I've got the white on, I might as well hit the other red one. Little you see how like this little hand done thing also helps it feel very retro?
Oh, yeah.
The way that we're doing this. So even though it's very different medium, we're still getting a lot of the same fun results. Oh, let's do this. I like this little swirl. Woo! Why not, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll go dot, dot, dot. I think that was very telling. And then this one has some, kind of little circles that were inside of it. I'm going to go ahead and get some of the yellow. And interestingly enough, this showed yellow here. I can go ahead and add a little black to the yellow, or I can even get the gold and black if I'm trying to do that, but I want it to be much more gold. We'll see how this looks inside here. And then, you know, does that work? Is there enough contrast there? And so that's something I always want to look at, is there enough contrast? So I'd say we have that retro effect pretty good. I'm going to get my paint, interestingly enough, and my brush is even a little bit dirty, but I don't care. I'm going to get a very light color. And the reason I'm not going for the fluid is I want kind of a dry line that breaks to get that look that we have here. Because I want a drier line than what the fluid paint would give me. See, I've got that right there. And I can even touch up some of this where I'd want to. And I'm going to go ahead and get a little more in here. And let's come in. And this is very dry. I haven't grabbed any water. Noticing that?
Yeah.
And I'm adding that light highlight in there and maybe a little one in there. I'm going to get a little of my black paint. Go work in my little detail. Just to start talking about some of this space. Get that. See how I'm lightening it, like thinning it with water? And I'm using that. I'm coming on the outside with a line. Thin brush. Coming on maybe the inside, outside with this line. Make sure that this is, look at that. How nice is that? How that's going. She's just coming in, isn't he? He.
Could go either way.
Yeah, I don't know about deer. I don't know. Can girl deers have antlers? I am kind of having an unfamiliar.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's why I was like struggling. I'm not like, I'm just like.
I don't think doe have antlers. So
that's the only reason I was struggling. Or thinking about it in that kind of way at all.
Yeah, no.
So there's some cool things. I'm going to get into a slightly bigger brush. I'll get back into this 4 to do the bow.
There could be antler headbands.
Could there?
I wear antler headbands. Ornamental horns.
I'm going to get this gold right on this brush. I'm going to see if I can capture this feeling. I'm going to come up and I'm going to make a line towards this upper space. Then I'll curl in. I'm just following what's in the picture. I'm going to bring it down here. Come outside there. And then maybe even kind of stipple or be rough like that. They were doing right there. And let's go right there. So I am dry brushing to mimic some of that. I'm doing it rough. I might not have needed to come to the outside with that gold, but that's okay. I can always take that out or change it. Now, a little bit of this red and black, and I'm going to make a very dark color. This is the shadow color of my bow. So it's still red, but it's darker. I'm just tapping up and down.
Now,
I'm going to get some more black. Yes.
There's an interesting question. So, and this all really depends on your definition of what makes for masculine. But if you wanted to make the deer look more masculine, what would you do?
From here, I'm not really sure, actually. I'd have to. So if I was going to try to masculine up this particular fawn, which I think it's tough to do that maybe with younger animals, I would probably look at reference images of male deer and then go, what about this makes them look different than does, and try to exaggerate those lines. So often with males, it's about making more angular lines and about where you widen certain aspects of their build, where testosterone would definitely widen them out.
Find out where the buck stops.
Find out where the buck stops here. You can see I'm just adding that black for that little shadow, and I'm going to come right here, brush in kind of a little bit of a shadow. Like a little something here. And let's add a little shadow here coming up the bow. See how we're doing? And I'm just softly brushing. So if I were pressing hard, look, it would be just such a dark mark. But the pressing soft lets me have a nice light mark where I need it. I'm going to come here and also just kind of dry brush a little of that in. And then if I need more red, I just come into the red. And I can even soften this a bit too. See how we're doing? We can soften anything, and I can stipple back wherever it's got to stipple back. Let's get that shadow in there.
So I guess there's some controversy.
Is there controversy about this
about
deer?
Antlers?
Okay.
So, I guess some deer, female deer, do have antlers, and then some female deer potentially even reindeer, keep their antlers through the winter, whereas the males shed them and can grow them back. And so I'm I am not a biologist or studier of
Deer?
the deer,
Yeah.
but that's interesting.
It
That
is kind of interesting, isn't it?
it's wiki worthy after the show.
It's wiki worthy. Go check out Wikipedia because everything on Wikipedia is so true.
Well, it's a leaping off point, is what I would say.
I would say, yeah, I would say. Actually, I think Wikipedia has been a fairly good resource as of late,
They
in
do
just my opinion.
they
But
work
I don't know
hard.
for sure.
They work hard to be a good. I think they're as long as they're used as a resource among other among many, it's a great place to go.
Okay, I'm gonna get some just red, some of my pure red, and I definitely want to come. Look at this, how bright this is now.
Oh, I guess reindeer are the only species in which the female also grow antlers.
Okay, so there you go.
And I'm always confused because the local whitetail and mule deer.
So I'm highlighting this top edge here and this outer edge here. I'm going to put a little bit of the pure red right there. Pop it. Let's do one here and one there. Get a little more pure red. This is going to be powerful stuff here.
It is. I mean, like it pops on the camera.
Yeah, like that there. And just one more like that. So it's quite bright, right? His little bow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm going to come in and make sure that we get a little bit of that brightness right here at the top of the nose. I just wiped off all of my brush on the top because I had too much paint, but you can see as I'm tapping, that gives it a little bit of a, it gives it a thing. You want a thing? I want a thing. And I'll show you, I'm just going to do a little bit of the sponging at the end. I want to go ahead and get a little more of the off-white kind of brushed on there just to have another second coat. So that's just a little bit of the black into the white. And I'm going to just make sure that like places are kind of roughly more covered. So let's go here.
That's pure white because you can see how bright it is.
No, it's not. I put a smidge of black in it.
Wow.
Just a smidge. Say it's just a smidge. I don't want it to be pure white.
It's very bright. I'm gonna adjust the camera down some more.
Too much.
It's so powerful.
And then a little bit down the nose. And I'm just trying to make sure that this is covered in the way it would need to be covered. Let's talk about the little jaw here. And we're just making sure that our deer has an ample amount of paint because we don't want no paint to be showing.
And what size brush are you using there?
This is the number 8 bright. You could use a different size bright. You know, you can see how this is just like flaring out.
You could use a 10 or a 6.
Yeah.
Or really a 7 if you could find it.
I don't know how you'd find a 7. I don't think this maker makes a 7 or any makers make a 7. But
I've never seen a 7.
Yeah, maybe they're in the arbitrary world of brush size. All right. So that's kind of nice. Now we're going to get a small brush. I think we'll take this number 4. We're going to get a little more of this here and just shape out a couple things. Definitely the little area under the chin. See? A little more shape. I can even come here and we're just making sure that these things are. Okay, now
Nina
up
says,
here, I'm going to get just a smidge of black. Nina says?
She says you're doing awesome brushwork.
Oh, thank you. Let me go ahead and tap that out a little bit. I'll go ahead and make that line there. See that little line there? And bring this little line here. It's like kind of a little curve up. It comes out towards the outer edge. I haven't even needed my sponge, which I honestly thought I would need by now. Much more than I have. Let's tap a little of this light one in up here. How's that looking? Look at him. It's looking pretty good. I think the stippling up here could be a little lighter, so I can always come back with a bit of white. See how I do? So if you feel like the stippling needs to be lighter anywhere, you just come back with, white into it. As long as you don't rinse out the brush, you're going to be okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get a little more of my dark gray on there. And we've got a stipple up here. Because his little forehead has a stipple all the way down. And then we've got a bit of this shaping that we're going to deal with here. So let's dry brush this little bit of shaping right here. And just sort of stipple this up the ear. A smidge. A little bit darker. Maybe inside the little ear here. Got that outside ear. See how that's creating that nice little shape in there?
Yeah.
And come here. Now I think if I got with a lighter color on the outside of the ear, so just wiped all the paint off my brush, and I'm just going to get the white. But because I had a little black on there, I won't get too bright of a white. I'm going to just make sure that this has got a highlight coming up. There we go. Do we have a highlight now? Yes, we do. This under here needs a little bit of shaping so I can get a little bit of the black onto my brush. And let's come here. Look at that. We're going to stipple right there. Pretty nice, actually. I'm pressing pretty hard to get the stipple effect, if you're noticing. And then I can always come back with white. See how I do? And lighten that up. And then a little more maybe here. What's wrong button? What I'm trying to do is see these values before I even get into the sponges. Before I even get into the sponges, get a little black on here. Boom, boom, boom. And a little white. And then there needs to be kind of a shadow across these two eyes and down the nose. So across these two eyes, I'm going to raise and lower my brush. Keep it from being too fussy. And while I've got this, I'm going to get just a little of my brush, and I'm going to come right here. I'm going to add a little highlight to that little nose. Now, let's get our small brush, and I might even in this case be tempted to get my detail brush just so I have lots of control over the result. And I'm taking, if you notice, I get a drop of water and I bring it over to my paint and I kind of thin it out. I could also just use fluid paint. I'm going to come right here. I'm going to follow my little smile. Now, a lot of different expression is going to happen here in this line. Trust me. You move the mouth up or down, he's going to go from grumpy to sassy. He's going to have many moods.
The many moods of a reindeer.
Yeah, I mean, we're all going to have slightly different little moods that are happening. And what I did there, just to make sure it had a little bit of that thing, is I sort of even stippled my brush a little bit. See how I did? And I can also come through here and just sort of mimic that effect a bit into his little mouth. Now, I talked about using sponges to create some very specific effects. And so I've got little corners of sponges, and you want them wet and just wrung out. They're just damp. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some black, and I'm going to just sponge that up and down a good bit. So you want it to, when you take it on your test, you're going to want that kind of a look. And we're going to just tap this like a stamp. See how we're doing?
Yeah.
Just stampy stamps. That's a stampy stamp right there. So that's why sometimes a cut version of this is kind of nice because it gives you some neat angles. If you try to use a whole sponge, it could be a lot. Come right here. Give him just like some stamp. And if you need more paint, you go get more paint. Stamp. Look at that. That's going to exaggerate some of those marks where we want some of those marks exaggerated to give it, again, it's a vintage feel, right? And the reason it is these are techniques that were prevalently used at the time, but we don't actually see used that much anymore. Doesn't make them good, doesn't make them bad. It just means we see them a lot or we don't see them a lot. Now we do need some eyelashes to get there. We do need some more pink. But before we get that, I'm going to go ahead and get some pure white. And I'm going to get it stamped down on a different part of my stampy stamp. See, here we go. And I'm looking for that. When I'm stamping it on, I'm looking for that open cellulose pattern. Because I can come right here. Look at that. Lighten up that gray a bit. And lighten up the forehead. What? Yep. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Even in here, I can exaggerate that. And definitely down under the chin. And into the neck. These things will also help mimic that old style feel that we can get. We're in acrylic paint. We're not doing pastel. We're not doing the same technique. This is very different, and yet here we are getting these
Very
awesome
similar
results. So while I'm at it, I'm just going to go ahead and get some red. I'll just stamp it right onto there and haven't rinsed it out. And I'm going to, what I'm looking to make, I want to get rid of all the weird white spots. If you have real cadmium paint and you have not tested to see if you're allergic, it's always a good idea with the high-end pigments to test your allergy rates. I'm going to just tap that right there. See, little blush there.
That's awesome.
Wasn't that great? Hard to get, but like if you understand what you're trying to do. And just tapping that out here. Look at that. Oh yeah, we don't suck, do we?
Well, this is turning out really good.
I'm going to go ahead and get that detail brush again, and I'll put in some lashes. And then we'll put in the little stars and dots, and we will have Sputniked up the piece enough to really put it right there where it belongs. The longest lash that I've got is at the back. I definitely want to paint that out. There we go. Definite look that Mr. Frou-Frou here has. And then each subsequent lash will be a little bit shorter, coming forward. And then right here about at the top. There we go. We got some nice little lashes going back. Fun stuff. Come here and make sure that this shape is well done. And we can even come in with a little bit of white paint or even our fluid white paint and make sure that this is like well done. Look at that. Taking the white fluid paint. Go ahead and, do what they did here, which is make some of these little dots around, right? I'm not really trying to change this artist's vision very much. They put things, in some places for a reason. These are the snowflakes, I imagine. We're going to draw one of them right here, which is just the line, 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 that type of snowflake. There we go, little snowflake shape. And some more little, notice I'm not making them perfect dots because he made them little
Irregular.
Yeah, so I'm just, again, trying to be like, all right, I see where you're going with it, dude. I, too, will honor, could be girl, I don't know. While I'm here, I'm going to grab a little bit of my yellow, and I can work it in with my fluid white to improve its flow. I'm going to make sure that I pop a couple, like just these yellow highlights here and here on this bow. If you'll notice, it does make a big difference. I wouldn't bother you with it unless it would. Like that. And while we've got that, we can just go ahead and get some of the yellow. I went and grabbed a little bit of black to tone it. And I'm going to go ahead and put some of these gold, implied gold pieces here and there. Because we're a little more black in them, but that's fine. You can always come back and be like, let's tone those down a bit. A couple here. And just a few around here. Did you do it?
Yeah.
Did you blow your mind with how you retroed?
That just came together really fast.
So in this, I don't normally sign it in white, but this one particular case, I'm going to take this to the side.
That really, really came together.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. How are you guys feeling?
They love this. This was really great, Cinnamon.
It's a fun little lesson. Tomorrow we're going to do a Victorian style angel.
Ooh.
That's
right. You've got a whole bunch of them up on the schedule.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch up on the schedule.
Where can they find that?
So you can find the schedule on the website, on TheArtSherpa.com, and if you're on YouTube, you can find it in the upcoming live playlist. So if it's easy for you to find one or the other, they're both there, though the website always has it.
Yep.
And can help you. You go to the calendar, and it should give you an idea of when what event is happening. This one might look like it was a car. There was a whole thing with the car image, and so I just sort of switched it out, and that was a blessing, actually, I think. I love doing this.
Yeah.
I love doing Mr. Deerface.
This is very fun.
Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. And we want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye.